Okay, it's time for, as I get myself settled in, it's time for the Sunday Premier League roundup. 4 matches for you. I watched the first game in its entirety and half of the second before I succumbed and picked up on the highlights this morning from Match of the Day 2, which I was very pleased to see at 7 a.m. here in Thailand. Very good service. And so here, let's go. We got started at the London Stadium, London Derby. West Ham against Spurs. West Ham above Spurs in the table, amazingly so. Mora was in for Bergwijn. Bale back on the bench alongside Dele Alli after the European excursions. For West Ham, they got a three-pronged attack. Lingard, Bowen and Antonio, and it was that man Antonio following a great cross from Bowen on the right, and he flicked the ball at Lloris from a few yards out. Lloris managed to claw it away, but Antonio was quick to snap up the rebound, so to speak, and the Hammers were 1-up. Shell-shocked Spurs. 12 minutes, quick counter by them. A good run by Lamela, the Argentinian, who seems to be getting a bit of a run in the side these days. And he fed Kane, whose effort just sort of swerved away wide of the goal. 27 minutes, another free kick for Spurs. And Mora got onto it, and his shot was way over. 37 minutes. Creswell, who's looked good all season, his corner, and the ball was headed goalwards by Dawson, and Lloris, a good save, managed to tip it over the bar. Lamela back in the action on 42, swiveled with his strike just outside the box, but Fabianski held on. And then a final effort for Kane before the interval, but Fabianski was also able to push that away to safety. Mourinho rang the changes at the beginning of the second half. Bale came on for Lamela, and the fullback was changed as well. And I've forgotten his name all of a sudden. The guy that played for Wolves. It'll come to me in a minute. Anyway, Lingard, within a minute, pressure on the left, the ball came through to him. He accelerated ahead of the defender, Dyer, and he clipped a lovely shot wide of Lloris. And then the flag went up. VR had a long look at this one, and it appeared that Fornells, who was standing in an offside position, contact the ball and was judged not to interfere with play. So the goal stood, and all of a sudden, West Ham were 2-up, and Tottenham was facing a mountain to climb. Good strike from Kane on 58 minutes ago, but it was inches wide. And then Bale started to assert himself, and he whipped in a corner on 63, and great anticipation by the Brazilian Mora, and he headed, a bullet header it was, when it whistled past Fabianski, and so Spurs were back in it, 2-1. And they were pressing from there on. Mora had a half chance on 70, but it was struck just wide. And Kane, again, another shot, inches wide on 72. 78, a great piece of play by Harry Kane, got to the byline, and he sort of laid the ball back to the on-running Bale, who hit a wicked strike that hit the bar. A bit unlucky, really, Bale, and he was playing well. He was always pushing forward. He was always putting the West Ham defence on the back foot. And they continued to press Spurs, and another effort went onto the post after Son hit a shot goalwards that ricocheted that way. but the Korean had a poor game overall. Anyway, we got to the final whistle. West Ham had held on. Spurs came good in the second half, but a very disappointing showing in the first. Final score then at the London Stadium, West Ham 2, Spurs 1, and West Ham now up to 4th. On this Sunday was a Midlands derby. It was at Villa Park, Aston Villa at home to Leicester, West Midlands versus East Midlands. Castagna was back at right back for Leicester, which meant that Ricardo was pushed forward into midfield. And he's starting to come back to some good form. Otherwise, Leicester looked relatively unchanged, although all Brighton had dropped to the bench. Yusuf is now, I didn't get that pronouncing right, did I? The Turkish centre-half alongside Evans in the heart of the Leicester defence. Villa, unfortunately, were without their talisman captain, Jack Grealish. Got a slight leg injury, and so the responsibility fell on Bartley, really, to step up. Bartley, who's been improving, but here was his opportunity. And also El Hamadi in right back for Cash. El Ghazi replaced Grealish, by the way. But they were on the back foot right from the off, Villa. And on 10 minutes, Barnes got free of his marker, and his strike ricocheted into the 6-yard box, and then was went to safety, but a let off for Villa. But 11 minutes, Ricardo, he was becoming more and more influential, and he had a shot from the edge of the box, which again was deflected just over, and the Leicester attack looking like they were gelling. Good work from Thomas down the left set up that chance. And then finally on 18 minutes, the breakthrough. Again, Barnes influential. And he laid the ball off to Madison, who created a yard of space just inside the area. And he curled his shot in off the post. Martinez, a good effort, but 1-0 to Leicester. 21 minutes, Ricardo had another effort. Martinez, though, an extravagant catch, but it kept the score to 1-0. And then 22 minutes, the ball fell to Vardy. He had a snapshot after some good interplay by Leicester. The keeper pushed it away, but Barnes was following up, and he lashed it into Lillette, and that was 2-0. That was the state of play at the interval. And the second half rather fell away, although on 48 minutes, Traore did convert inside the box from a Cardiff target cross. That brought it back to 2-1. But after that, few chances at either end, really. And Leicester always looked like they had an extra gear that they could go to. Villa certainly missed Grealish, and basically Leicester hung on, and their away form has been first class. Final score then at Villa Park then, Aston Villa 1, Leicester City 2. Let's go to Old Trafford, shall we? A home game for Manchester United against Newcastle, who are fourth from bottom, and they desperately need some improvement. Only 2 wins in the last 13 games. Having said that, United only 1 win in 5 in the Premier League, although of course they did have that excellent result in Italy against the Spanish side Real Sociedad in the Europa Cup. De Gea was restored, of course. Henderson played in Europa. We still haven't seen Pogba for a while. He's injured. Martial up front. Cavani rested. For Newcastle, still without Callum Wilson. So Linton was up front, but thankfully St. Maximus is now getting back to full fitness. Early action, and De Gea had to be very alert to tip over an effort from the Newcastle strike force, Linton. And then 27 minutes, Almiron had a shot, but De Gea was pretty safely on it. Then 30 minutes, first real effective attack by United. The ball got out to Rashford on the left, and he cuts inside, and he looks a real threat. And he saw a sort of very narrow entry into the net, and he got a good contact on the ball, hit it fiercely, and it did just get inside Darlow's post, and that was 1-0 for the Reds. Darlow really should have saved it, but it was a forceful strike, and so United were 1-up. The response from Newcastle was immediate with St. Maximin. He had an early strike that De Gea tipped over, but on 36 minutes he did in fact find the net, latching onto a poor-headed clearance out of defence, and a half-volley contact whistled past De Gea, and that was 1-1. That was the score at the break. Into the second half, 51 minutes, cross from the right from Matic, who had a very solid game deputising for McTominay, and his effort managed to get right through to the right side of the box, and young Danny James was there, and he hit a sweet strike wide of Darlow, and so the Reds were back in front 2-1. 75 minutes, Willock trying to defend, which he's not very good at, clipped Rashford in the box. It was a penalty, and up stepped Bruno Fernandes with that very idyllic sort of hop that he does on his run-up, and that was 3-1. That was game over then. It flattered United a little bit, but Newcastle ran out of gas in the second half. Final score at Old Trafford then, Manchester United 3, Newcastle United 1. Final match then at the Emirates, Arsenal at home to Manchester City. City were ruthless at the moment, 12 wins in a row, 39 goals scored. I'm not too sure how many conceded, but it's not very many. A thankless task really ahead for Arteta against his previous boss, but an intriguing one. For Arsenal, Tierney was back in at full-back, Mari in defence. I didn't know him, he was a long-stand holding. No Luis and no Gabriel on the bench. Back for City was De Bruyne, and good to see him back. He'd been out for at least a month. We hadn't barely sat down when on 2 minutes some intricate work on the right by Mahrez, and he managed to get his cross, a pinpoint one to Sterling, who headed in, and that was he was unchallenged with Sterling, and surrounded by taller defenders. But that's an issue that Arteta needs to address. But anyway, it was City 1-up. He had another effort, Sterling, which was thwarted by Leno a little later. And Mahrez was absolutely causing havoc on that right side. There was a rare attack before the break from Arsenal, but they were generally disappointing. The second half, not a lot to show for it. City were in control, but they weren't really going for the jugular. Cancelo had a chip shot that went just wide after some great work by Jesus. But the match petered out. It was a pretty disappointing affair, all in all. But it was good enough for City. It maintained their 10-point lead at the top of the table. Final score then at the Emirates, Arsenal 0, Manchester City 1.